The Rohingya crisis is placed in Rakhine State, Myanmar. The country is also called Burma. The country of Myanmar is located in the Southeast Asia under Bangladesh and east of India and is predominantly a Buddhist country. Rakhine State is located in the southwest of Myanmar and is a coastal state of the Sea of Bengal. The Rohingya is a cultural minority in the country and mostly comprised of Islamic followers. Rohingya Muslims are the largest cultural population of Muslims in Myanmar. The Myanmar government refuses to give citizenship to the Rohingya people and do not see the people as humans. The country considers this group of individuals illegal immigrants from Bangladesh. It is interesting, though, because the Rohingya people believe they are direct descendants of Arab traders and other groups that are native to the region. The Rohingya do speak the same language as The Rohingya do not speak the same language as the people of Myanmar. Instead, they speak Rohingya, yes, the same name and spelling as the people. Myanmar's major language is Burmese, also the name of the country in this language.
The conditions of travels the Rohingya Muslims are facing are far from tolerable. According to Relief Web, approximately 688,000 Rohingya have moved across the border into Cox's Bazar since August 2017. Nearly 212,000 Rohingya had already been displaced prior to this new wave. The circumstances faced by these fleeing people includes rape, murder, and arson by Myanmar's military due to the ethnic cleansing imposed on this Muslim minority, according to NPR's website. National Geographic states that satellite images have shown Rohingya villages burning. As for who's responsible, some claim the Myanmar military, others the Rohingya themselves. Upon crossing the border, living situations and establishments are so crowded and overpopulated that diseases run rampant, including skin disease, diarrhea, and respiratory infection, as the available water and sanitary needs are greatly insufficient for such a large mass of people. 337 cases of jaundice syndrome have been reported thus far in 2018, while according to Relief Web, as of January 24th, a total of 4,778 suspected cases of diphtheria were reported, with 35 deaths. Campaigns for diphtheria vaccine to be administered to Rohingya children began again January 27th, vaccinating almost 357,000 children. As the rainy season approaches, an estimated 86,000 Rohingya refugees are residing in locations that will flood severely. Due to these rains, landslides will also become an issue. Nearly 23,000 people abide on hills currently that are in the risk zone for landslide occurrence. Along with places of living, health posts, water areas, and learning spaces also stand a chance of suffering landslide damage. UNICEF is striving to increase preparation for these potential natural disasters.
All right, so as Meredith just said, the conditions for the Rohingya refugee camps in Bangladesh, they're not very good. There's disease, there's diphtheria, there's landslide threats, so all sorts of natural disaster and threat of exposure coming at these people from every angle. But as for how they're being received in Bangladesh, it's better than how they're being treated in Myanmar. NPR journalist Michael Sullivan explains in an article from this past January that 9 out of 10 Rohingya that I know in these camps, he says, will say they'd rather stay in Bangladesh for one simple reason, and that reason is safety. They know they won't be killed there. So despite all of the horrible living conditions, the disease, the natural disasters, it's clear that the Rohingya are far better received in Bangladesh than they were in their home country of Myanmar or Burma, where they endured systemic acts of violence, sexual and physical, at the hand of the Burmese military. Kya Hassan Hlang, executive director of the Peace and Development Initiative in Myanmar, says that in a National Geographic article that the history and motive for this massive ethnic cleansing comes from a sense of fear in Myanmar's Buddhist majority. There's a fear, he says, especially among Burma's Buddhist nationalists, of Burma losing its unique Burmese culture. He also discusses the curriculum in Rakhine State schools. Rakhine State, if you remember from Chukka's bit, is where the Rohingya are originally from. And he talks about the curriculum in those schools, which emphasize the Buddhist origins and the history of Myanmar as a Buddhist country as what makes it a special and unique nation. And we can kind of relate this back to the reading that we did for our film course in that piece by Shohat and Stan, Unthinking Eurocentrism, when they talk about in this film the idea of cultural colonialism and how Senegalese children were taught that real history, in quotation marks, real history, resides in Europe. So it's that cultural Eurocentrism. And a similar thing here is happening in Myanmar, but with a Burma-centrism. I don't know, coining a term, we're trying. As for the future of the Rohingya refugees and this migratory crisis, there are repatriation plans in the works between the Bangladesh and Myanmar governments. In the NPR article that I mentioned earlier, published on January 18th of this year, so very recently, it says that both of the governments have agreed to a 2-year repatriation program, which outlines the return of approximately 1,500 Rohingya per week to Myanmar. There were previous iterations in which the Bangladesh government proposed the return of more Rohingya per week, and the Myanmar government said, no, we're not going to do that. So there've been a lot of back and forth, but they finally agreed on this 1,500 per week return rate.
This is a map of Bangladesh. This is a map of Myanmar. This is a map of Rakhine State and Cox's Bazar. And these are going to be some photos about the people that are leaving Rakhine State.
So this plan's been creative and approved by the governments of both countries, but there are still various concerns from a lot of human rights groups like UNICEF. They're concerned for the safety of the Rohingya people as they return back to their homeland. And that is some background on the Rohingya refugee crisis.